We're kicking it off with our beloved AFC North. AJ sometimes can be a Bengals fan. Dylan sure as hell cannot be a Bengals fan. He absolutely hates them
like
so
Jesse
much.
Bates. That's where it stops.
So let's get into it here. We're going to break it down, what the team needs, where they're picking, and everything. This is what we have listed as the Bengals team needs: is a guard, a center, a cornerback. They have a lot of picks. And gentlemen, I'm about to take you down memory lane here real quick before we let Dylan set the world on fire. This is the recent history of Bengals selecting with a 30th or higher pick between 30 and 39. This is some pretty good luck here with these picks, though. You got Boomer Esiason, Chad Johnson, Ickey Woods, Chris Collinsworth. I know these guys. I've seen these guys. Throw out Andy Dalton. They've had a pretty good time picking in the 30s. So, Dylan, who is a must get for the Bengals at 30?
Icky.
No,
they need help. They fixed the offensive line to the most part, right? They do. This is why I said they won't make the playoffs, because they need help on the defensive side of the ball. God forbid, get us a corner and call up KAIIR Gordon. KAIIR Gordon is a fantastic corner coming out of this class. A lot of people have him underrated. Out of Washington, forces fumbles, does everything well. You look at his stats last year: 2 interceptions. He's forced 1 fumble. He draws comparisons to a Byron Jones-esque player where he can bounce a little bit. I mean, there's a lot to like with KAIIR Gordon. And, we mentioned their need on the defensive side of the ball, especially the secondary. They have Jesse Bates on the back end, a good safety who's on a franchise tag for now, but they really need help at the cornerback position. We saw Eli Apple in the playoffs. KAIIR Gordon is good to where he can play day one. He might take a little bit to get going, but I think he's all right, and he'll be a great pick right there for the Bengals to where you could start him on day one.
I don't love it.
Why?
I don't love it. I actually think, first of all, KAIIR Gordon's the second best cover guy in that Washington secondary. We'll get to my pick here shortly. He's often beat a lot in press coverage. He's not the strongest guy. He's tough to get off blocks for him. He doesn't really get disengaged. And then also when he's talking about getting in and out of receiver breaks and trying to jump those balls, he's a little slow at that. So, if you're Cincinnati, you're looking for a cover guy. I don't know that I go a KAIIR Gordon. I think I would go somebody that fits a scheme that can play both man and zone very well. He's lost in zone coverages a lot. But, I like the position of need. But I don't know. I feel like the first round would be too high to reach on a KAIIR Gordon. I don't know that KAIIR Gordon goes in the first round. If he does, I feel like somebody's reaching.
It's 30s.
As a back end.
And I feel like somebody would be reaching.
Someone reached on an ETN
like
last
play
year.
That a little close to home though. Like, I don't know if I.
It could. It could be the fact that if the DBs start to go on a run, right? If there's 4, 5 taken quickly, then you might start having to look at a player like that at 31, or you go somewhere else as far as like the offensive line or something like that.
Aaron, if you say a cornerback has to go, who would you have the Bengals taking at 31?
Hands down, this was the easiest out of all the teams for me. It's Trent McDuffie. We talked about Washington. This guy right here, he's physical. He's tough against the run. He's a willing tackler. He can play in both man and zone coverage. He's really good in space. He has great ball skills. His production is not, you look at a stat sheet, you're like, oh, well, he didn't get many interceptions at Washington. Well, the fact of the matter is his closing speed was there. He had a lot of pass breakups. The only thing he kind of lacks is the size. You worry about maybe going against a more physical receiver that's taller, that he can't get around. But as far as ball skills, closing in and out of breaks, man zone coverage, this guy can do it all. I think he's one of the better cover corners in this draft. We talk about a Sauce Gardner, a Derek Stingley. I think that McDuffie is right there after those guys. So I like Trent McDuffie here. I think the Cincinnati Bengals, if he falls to him at 31, I think it's a slam dunk.
That's a good pick. It's not the right one. It's a good pick, though. Ooh. And I think there's a trend here with saying that they need to go they need to go corner, and I'll go next here real quick and keep the train going. And I will take a different corner who I think one thing that strayed me away, and you guys, we were talking all good things about our corners and why they should take them. My corner, I'm not going to say is a perfect corner, but I'm going to take cornerback out of Florida, KAIIR Elam. This kid here, He's got the athleticism. He played well against SEC wide receivers. Get this, and you guys know how big of an Alabama fan I am, so I watch these games closely. When Florida played Alabama this year, it was one of their toughest games. He had 2 catches for 36 yards on 7 targets with 2 pass breakups against Bryce Young and a group that had stellar wide receivers, a very talented offense. This guy is a very, very talented cornerback. He can play in press coverage. He's got speed. He's got a penalty problem. That worries me a little bit. But with this, where you're picking at 31, I don't think you're going to be able to get him. To be honest, I don't think McDuffie falls to them at 31. I think you are maybe looking at a Kyler Gordon or an Elam here. And that's why I would take Elam over anyone else, because he has the ability to be a playmaker. And that's kind of what Cincinnati really needs on that in the corners, because obviously you got burnt apple crisps there, and then you got whatever else is back there. To me, it's Elam here at 31. I think that'll be a good pick for him. And this is a shocker. This comes as a shock for me, because I have a hard time. I'm not a big fan of like the recent Florida talented players coming out in the first round. I've never been a real big fan of them. I was never really
burn the
CJ
Jags
Henderson.
every year.
What?
You want to know? Say what is
on.
it? Say what is it? Say the question there.
Why do people do that?
Because
the
CJ
the five
first round
who
pick.
cares? CJ
Tyson
Henderson
Alualu,
is not
David
KAIIR
Bryan.
Elam. No, like that
Dante
argument.
Fowler.
Hey.
No, I'm not on you, Vinny. I'm just saying that statement alone, who cares? So the last 4 corners that were drafted out of Florida ended up not being very good. Maybe they went to the wrong team. Maybe they didn't fit the scheme well. Who knows?
It isn't about the talent, though. It is about the discipline. It is about the discipline coming out of a Dan Mullen system in Florida that I just haven't liked. But when I watch the tape,
that's fair. But if you get in the NFL, there's coaches that are supposed to
you're
coach
right.
that.
You're right. But I watched the tape on Elam, and that's why I put my differences aside here and said this guy is good. One last note on him. He has a 55.6 passer rating in his coverage since 2019. That's the best among Power 5 corners. That's even with the other cornerbacks in this draft.
He's a ball hawk. He's a playmaker, and he's a ball hawk. I really like him. I don't think that's a bad pick at all. I just didn't like that you had a backhand compliment slap him at the end with the Florida corners. Like he's legit, and I think he can be a difference maker because he is a playmaker.
I will say, when an Elam comes out of Florida, you're getting a normal good prospect. Most of the Elams who've come through Florida have always been a stud. At least definitely at the Florida level. I'll give you that. So
there you go.
Yeah.
AJ, who you got?
Yeah. You guys held it down. I agree that in the first round at the 30 spot, cornerback is something they should go ahead and grab. So I decided to go ahead and jump to the second round, pick 63, and I'm going to go with Dylan Parham. Speaking of Dylans, you know I love me a Parham. This guy, he showed good stuff here at Memphis. Very quick. He's got nice mobility. Can play all throughout that line. Great movement. He can recover very well too, because as a lineman, it's going to happen. You're going to get beat. But when he gets beat, he gets back to the punch. He's always there to step back forward and get going. He does need to add some strength, upper body, lower body as well. And I say the lower body because he likes to get low. And if he's not going to be able to explode from that low start as well, he's going to get caught a lot. So I like the fact that they did buffer their line in Cincinnati, getting this guy at the back half of the second round, a guy who can be developed, who can be versatile, and as well as there are injuries late in the season, you would hope that he's been developed enough to jump in and play within your scheme. If not, he's got the raw talent enough to hold his own for the most part. It won't look any worse than it did a season before when they went to the Super Bowl. So Dylan Parham out of Memphis, second round, pick 63. I like him for the Bengals.
It's a good pick. I don't think Bengals fans can be mad at us here on this one.
They didn't need anybody, right? YouTube Bengals fans says their team is already stacked. They don't need to improve anywhere. They might as well just forfeit their draft picks because they don't need to improve.
They should.
Do like Madden, trade all your draft picks for the next year.
Hey, Bengals fans, if you want to come out and chat with us, we've had a lot of good conversations with Bengals fans in the past. I'm sure you guys would love listening to us.
Maybe they should call Bill O'Brien. He'll trade all their draft picks for them, trade all their talent, everything like that.
Genius.
I think Cincinnati is going to heavily focus on that O-line and defense for the remainder of free agency. We can talk about have they done enough? Do they need to add? But they definitely need to add some depth on the back end. And getting a corner here, he won't have to start right away necessarily if you feel comfortable with Eli Apple, Chidobe Awuzie. And then you can talk about offensive line. Maybe you go guard there, and then Karras can play center, or you get a center and then move Karras over to guard. So I think those are two of the main spots. You might see some D-line help, but I think Cincinnati definitely needs to address those particular areas. And one more nugget, Vinny, you failed to put on that graphic. T. Higgins was also in the 30s.
Was he? I guess I just looked at I don't know. I would have much rather put Andy Dalton and Chris Collinsworth than T. Higgins. Okay, we just don't know. We just don't know about T. Higgins yet. Okay, we don't know if he's going to be able to play like Chris Collinsworth. Okay, come on.
You're taking Icky.
Yeah, there you go.
Vinny, welcome in our first Bengals fan, I believe, for a while. Thank you for being honest, Mr. Matt Jenkins. First of all, thank you for watching. Thank you for being honest, because I don't know how many times we fought with Bengals fans about how good Eli Apple is not. But I was told he was the second best cover corner in the AFC last year, so I don't know.
Huh?
Oof.
Who said that?
Yikes.
That's what YouTube.
Hey,
some YouTube fans were on.
Is that one of those things where you just you move the stats until they say what you want them to say?
I'm like, I don't care even if he did rank number 2. The fact of the matter is I've watched enough Eli Apple when he was with the Saints and the Giants, and now, you know, and as a Cowboy fan, trust me, I wish he was still on the Giants.
There you go. But yeah, hey, and please share the show. Let everyone know we are here and grinding it out, talking about the Bengals. Just about every show now, we have something with the Bengals, especially when Mr. Monday Night's down there saying that they're not going to make the playoffs. And best friends with Jesse Bates.